Welcome to our video about the Anunnaki. Who were they for humanity? In the next few minutes, we will delve into the fascinating mythology of the Anunnaki and their role. The Anunnaki, also transcribed as Anunnaki, Anuna, Anunnaki, and other variations, are a group of deities worshipped by the ancient Sumerians, Akkadians, Assyrians, and also in ancient Babylon. In the earliest Sumerian writings about them, which date from the post-Akkadian period, the Anunnaki are deities in the pantheon, descendants of Enki, the god of the sky and the goddess of the earth, and their main function was to guide the destinies of humanity. The name Anunnaki is derived from En, the Sumerian god of the sky. The name is written variously, the Anuna, the Anunnaki, or the Anuna, meaning princely offspring or offspring of En. The Anunnaki were considered descendants of En and his consort, the earth goddess Ki. Samuel Noah Kramer identifies Ki with the Sumerian mother goddess Ninhursag and states that they were originally the same figure. The eldest of the Anunnaki was Enlil, the god of air and the chief god of the Sumerian pantheon. The Sumerians believed that heaven and earth were inseparable until the birth of Enlil. Then, Enlil divided heaven and earth into two parts and carried away the earth while his father En took to the heavens. The Anunnaki are primarily mentioned in literary texts, and very few pieces of evidence for the existence of a cult have been found so far. This is likely because each member of the Anunnaki had their own individual cult, separate from the others. Likewise, no depictions of the Anunnaki as a complete group have been discovered, although some depictions of 2 or 3 individual members together have been identified. Deities in ancient Mesopotamia were almost exclusively anthropomorphic. They were believed to possess extraordinary powers and were often viewed as of enormous physical stature. The deities typically wore melem, an ambiguous substance that covered them in terrifying splendor. Melem could also be worn by heroes, kings, giants, and even demons. The effect of seeing the melem of a deity on a human being is described as never leaving, a word for the physical tingling of the flesh. Deities were almost always depicted wearing horned caps made up of up to 7 superimposed ox horns. They were sometimes also depicted wearing clothing adorned with elaborate decorative gold and silver ornaments. The ancient Mesopotamians believed that their deities lived in the heavens, according to an earlier story of visits to Earth in the mythological texts, and that the statue of a god was a physical embodiment of the god himself. As such, cult statues were assigned constant care, attention, and a retinue of priests. These priests dressed the statues and held festivals before them so they could eat. The temple of a deity was believed to be the literal residence of that deity. The gods had boats, large barges usually stored in their temples and used on waterways during various religious festivals to transport their cult statues. The gods also owned chariots used to transport their cult statues overland. Sometimes, a deity's cult statue was transported to the site of a battle so the deity could observe the conflict. The major deities of the Mesopotamian pantheon, including the Anunnaki, were believed to attend the assembly of the gods, through which the gods made all their decisions. This assembly was seen as the divine counterpart to the semi-democratic legislative system that existed during the 3rd dynasty of Ur, circa 2112 BCE to circa 2004 BCE. An Akkadian cylinder seal from circa 2300 BCE shows representations of the deities Inanna, Utu, and Enki, 3 members of the Anunnaki. The earliest known uses of the term Anunnaki come from inscriptions written during the reign of Gudea, circa 2144 to 2124 BCE, and the 3rd dynasty of Ur. In the earliest texts, the term is applied to the most powerful and important deities in the Sumerian pantheon, who were descendants of the sky god En. This group of deities likely included the 7 gods who decree, En, Enlil, Enki, Ninak, Nana, Utu, and Inanna. Though certain deities are described as members of the Anunnaki, no complete list of the names of all the Anunnaki has survived, and they are typically represented as a coherent group in literary texts only. Additionally, Sumerian texts describe the Anunnaki inconsistently and do not agree on how many Anunnaki there were or what their divine function was. Originally, the Anunnaki appear to have been celestial deities with immense powers. In the poem Enki and the World Order, the Anunnaki honor Enki, sing praises to him, extol him, and take up their dwellings among the people of Sumer. The same composition states twice that the Anunnaki determine the destinies of humanity. Practically every major deity in the Sumerian pantheon was considered the patron deity of a specific city and was supposed to protect the interests of that city. It was believed that the deity permanently resided in the temple of that city. One text mentions up to 50 Anunnaki associated with the city of Eridu. In Inanna's descent to the underworld, there are only 7 Anunnaki who live in the underworld and serve as judges. Inanna stands before them for her attempt to take over the underworld. They find her guilty of hubris and condemn her to death. Major deities in Sumerian mythology were associated with specific celestial bodies. Inanna was believed to be the planet Venus, Utu as the sun, Nanna was the moon, and was identified with all the stars of the equatorial sky, Enlil with those of the northern sky, and Enki with those of the southern sky. Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian-Babylonian depictions of the national god Marduk show him as a prominent member of the Anunnaki. Akkadian texts from the 2nd millennium BCE follow similar depictions of the Anunnaki from Inanna's descent to the underworld, portraying them as tonic underworld deities. In an abbreviated Akkadian version of Inanna's descent written in the early 2nd millennium, Erish-Kaigal, queen of the underworld, comments that she drinks with the Anunnaki. Later in the same poem, Erish-Kaigal commands her messenger Namtar to bring the Anunnaki from Egalgina, adorn the threshold steps with coral, and set them on golden reeds. During the Old Babylonian period, a new group of deities is introduced, known as the Igigi. The relationship between the Anunnaki and the Igigi is unclear. On some occasions, the categories appear to be used synonymously, but in other writings, such as the Poem of Era, there is a clear distinction between the two. In the late Akkadian Atrahasis epic, the Igigi are the 6th generation of gods forced to perform labor for the Anunnaki. After 40 days, the Igigi create a rebellion, and the god Enki, one of the Anunnaki, creates humans to replace them. During the Old Babylonian period, a new group of deities is introduced, known as the Igigi. The relationship between the Anunnaki and the Igigi is unclear. On some occasions, the categories appear to be used synonymously, but in other writings, such as the Poem of Era, there is a clear distinction between the two. In the late Akkadian Atrahasis epic, the Igigi are the 6th generation of gods forced to perform labor for the Anunnaki. After 40 days, the Igigi create a rebellion, and the god Enki, one of the Anunnaki, creates humans to replace them. The Anunnaki are thus central figures in ancient Mesopotamian mythology and religion, playing roles in both the celestial and earthly realms. Their influence extends not only across the pantheon of gods, but also into the lives of humans, as they were believed to guide human destinies and interact with mortals in various ways. These ancient beliefs and stories provide valuable insights into the religious and cultural practices of ancient Mesopotamia, shedding light on the worldview and values of these early civilizations. They also demonstrate the complex relationships between gods and humans in ancient societies, where deities were revered, feared, and relied upon for guidance and protection. Overall, the Anunnaki remain a fascinating and significant aspect of ancient Near Eastern religion and mythology, continuing to captivate the interest of scholars and enthusiasts alike as they explore the rich tapestry of beliefs and stories from the dawn of civilization. The creation story of the Anunnaki is a fascinating and complex topic that raises many questions and allows room for speculation. It is important to consult various sources and critically question them to gain a comprehensive understanding of this mythology. Don't forget to click the like button and share this video with your friends who are also fascinated by the unknown. We hope this video has sparked your interest in the creation story of the Anunnaki and encouraged you to further research and draw your own conclusions. Thank you for watching, and until next time.